Good evening. The bad news is that the IWA Negotiating Committee is going to recommend unanimously that the Hudson report be rejected. And if that recommendation is followed, it means, of course, that there will be no quick settlement of the 18-week-long IWA FIR strike. The other side is going to vote too, of course, on the propositions. Monroe will be here tonight to go through the details of the Hudson recommendation and presumably give the reasons why they are recommending unanimously against all acceptance. But thank goodness we're going to start with something a little happier, a little brighter, and a little less troublesome. Here's Steve with a rundown.
The big guns in the lumber dispute meet in Victoria to hear the results of another special committee looking for a solution. But the prognosis, again, is not good, at least according to this man, IWA President Jack Monroe. But first, the violin is 200 years old. The violinist is 14. His name is Corey Cherovzik. In 1981, it was already clear that this was no ordinary freckle-faced kid. Corey was 9 then, and when he wasn't practicing his violin, he was trying his hand at a little composition. This from a boy who spent the first 3 weeks of his life in a coma. His accompanist on the piano was also his older sister. Her name is Katya, and a virtuoso in her own right. Together they have performed on stages all over North America, and together they study music at Indiana University. And at times like this, you can't help but wonder what it's like being a parent.
He loves music so much that it's kind of spooky, really. But my husband got a violin too and started to take lessons with Corey. So they were in competitions, and Corey, after 2 weeks, I think he said, "Oh, Daddy, you're gonna be in grade 3 and I'm gonna be famous," you know. And somehow it has come true.
And here is Corey Cherovzik,
Sounds fine.
sounds fine, who is playing tonight with the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra at the Orpheum Theatre at 7:30, and you are now 14 years of age. Mm-hmm. What are you going to play tonight, Corey?
I'm playing the Bruch Concerto in G minor.
Is that your favorite concerto, or do you have a more favorite one?
Well, I wouldn't say I have a favorite concerto, but it does have a sort of special meaning for me because it was my first major concerto, really.
When did you first play in concert with your violin?
That would be hard to say. I began playing the violin just before I was 6, and I played a part in a student recital quite soon afterwards. I would say 6 or 7.
Now, apart from playing the violin, of course, you're accomplished in other fields. How old were you when you went to university?
I first went to Indiana University when I was 12.
12. Have you now graduated from that? Not quite yet.
Not yet, but I intend to graduate in May.
What are your particular studies of which you're most fond in university?
Music and mathematics are my majors.
Things like the calculus?
Mm-hmm. That was actually what I first did when I came.
Would you be so kind as to give me a broad idea of what the devil the calculus is?
Well, it's been a while since I did it, but calculus has 2 major problems, which are area and differentiation, for instance. That's integration and differentiation. And the first is to find the rate at which some quantity changes, like instantaneous speed of a car or something.
Like we're getting close to the kind of Einstein theory, I suppose.
I suppose it's all related.
All related. I know that there are some things you don't like to be described as, and I'm not going to describe you as, but when did you realize you were just a little bit different from the other boys and girls with whom you went to school?
I don't think I really realized it right away. I just sort of did whatever I did and assumed that was normal. I became conscious of it eventually, but I don't let it affect me. I don't see any reason why it should change my life or anything.
No, but are you able to lead an ordinary kind of life, mixing with other youngsters when you're busy on your concert tours and whatnot?
No, I have a normal life. I don't concertize so much as a full-blown concert musician because I want to finish my degree still. And my social life is really normal.
Well, now, degree, should I ask you what, it's a degree in music, obviously, of some kind.
What I'm heading towards is a Bachelor of Science in Music and Mathematics.
And you should have that by when?
May.
May of this year, when you will then be all of 15 years of age. Have you traveled about much with your mother and father?
Well, I usually travel with my mother, actually. I couldn't disrupt both my parents' lives, but most of my concerts were in Canada. I can't play in the States very much because I need to get special visas every time. But I have also been to Australia, Christmas of 1983, with my former teachers who were in Bellingham, and I was in Europe this summer.
Sports?
And sports, I enjoy sports in general, but I can't play volleyball or anything which would be dangerous for my fingers.
In other words, you've got to be very careful about your fingers. But you've got to keep physically fit, especially to play the piano as well. High school, did you just skip through high school altogether?
Well, I've skipped through most of high school. I have actually one course left over, which is English 12. So if I mispronounce something, then that's the reason.
What do you think is the secret of your incredible aptitude in, for instance, taking calculus? Are you, for instance, a very quick reader of anything at all?
Well, I read relatively quickly. I like reading. And actually, my parents used to find that what was cheaper than having a babysitter was to leave me in a bookstore and a library. And I think that really helped it.
In other words, give you a couple of heavy tomes and you'll be quite happy. But then, of course, you've also become a celebrity in places other than... You're living now where?
Bloomington, Indiana.
Not a very big town, that, is it?
No, it has 40,000 students and 40,000 permanent residents.
Why did you choose Indiana for the university?
It has a wonderful school of music, which I believe is the best in the world. And specifically, the violin teacher I study with, Professor Gingold.
Well, tell me about him. Gingold?
He's a wonderful guy, and I think he's the best.
And did you
first? How
long have you been taught by Gingold?
Since I came there, so 2.5 years.
2.5 years ago. In Vancouver, were you doing much in the way of violin playing then? Of course you were.
But I didn't have of course I couldn't have such a musically stimulating environment as Bloomington is.
Yeah, we don't have a musical... Yes, we've got a good music department at UBC, I suppose.
Right, but I think I was sort of too young to get into that.
And then, of course, you became an international celebrity when you appeared with this fellow here, eh? Carson. How was that? Tell me about your appearance on Carson.
That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. He also told me during the commercial he has a son named Corey. I thought that was quite interesting.
Well, very, very interesting indeed. Now, what about, what's your own favorite music?
My own favorite music? I enjoy music so generally, I wouldn't say I have a favorite.
But you're not a rock and roll hand.
No, not fully, but I do listen to popular music sometimes, just to...
Well, tonight you're playing at the Orpheum Theatre at 7:30 with the Vancouver Symphony. Who's that, Rudolph Barshai? And the other name I can't, Kazuyoshi Akiyama. Would you like to take some telephone calls from young people in this part of the world and give them the benefit of your wisdom, knowledge, and expertise?
Sure, I don't know if I have any to offer, but...
Oh, I'm sure you've got lots to offer.
Try.
If you want to talk to Corey Charovsek, our 14-year-old virtuoso, and I didn't use the bad word, virtuoso, after the break. Tell me about the part you played in the movie, Corey.
Well, over the summer I was playing Vivaldi as a young composer, and Vivaldi was a composer who lived in the 17th century.
Right, I see him up there.
So as you can see, I had to have bright red hair, as a wig, of course.
That's rather impressive. And then there's somebody else I want to see in the next picture. Who's that woman in the fancy dress?
That's my mom.
That's your mom?
As an extra.
Good. Now, let's go to the phones. She was an extra. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Corey. You say that you have quite a normal social life. I'm just wondering, how do you meet kids of your age if you go to university?
Well, first of all, I only started going to university 2 years ago. Until I was 12, I went to normal school, and so I have lots of friends here in Vancouver because of that. And I also have lots of friends in my neighborhood in Indiana, which I just meet by being on the street, sort of.
That's right, in a normal fashion.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Hi, could you tell me what the proper technique for vibrato is?
I don't know. For vibrato, I really just shake. I think of that I want to have a vibrato, and it comes very naturally. I have to say I'm terrible at explaining how I do things because it comes quite naturally.
Now, you let me clue in. The caller asked you, what is the proper technique for vibrato on the violin? And you say you just shake. Comes to you naturally.
Well, I suppose the best you can do is, if you think your vibrato sounds wrong, try a different speed and different width. It can sound bad if it gets really wobbly.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I didn't hear that call very well. Go ahead, please.
Hello. I'd like to know if you have a girlfriend, and if not, what kind of girl are you interested in? Like a child genius, or compared to a normal 15-year-old girl?
That's not even a fair question, but we'll give it to Corey anyway.
Sounds like a family psychologist.
It does, doesn't it?
Well, first of all, I don't see any reason why a girlfriend would have to be a child genius or anything. I mean, I just go for somebody who I like and who's nice to me. I don't think I have a girlfriend. There's a few girls who think that I'm their boyfriend. I haven't sorted out this problem yet. I'm waiting for the perfect solution, but...
Thank you very much. You'll wait a long, long time, I'll tell you. Go ahead from Kelowna.
Hello, Corey. This is John Shushnik.
Oh, hi.
Hey, how are you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Hey, I just want to wish you good luck tonight in your concert.
Oh, thanks a lot.
You good, eh?
Thanks for calling.
Okay, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Old buddy,
Yeah.
go ahead, please. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
I was wondering why, I read somewhere, Corey, that you took piano until you were about 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering why you stopped taking piano. I'm a pianist, and I'm crazy about the instrument, so I was wondering why anyone would...
Well, it's a sort of funny story, and you have to hear the conclusion anyways. It turned out I had a teacher who wanted me to play these showy little pieces, and since I was small, I didn't like the feeling that I was being shown off, advertising, you know, whatever. And I said I didn't want to play the piano anymore. So I started the violin because I got the violin as a Christmas present. And sure enough, within a year or two, I started playing piano again just because I liked it.
Oh.
And I study piano at the university also now.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
What's your favorite piece, or one of your favorite pieces that you enjoy playing?
Oh, I don't have a favorite one.
Thank you very much. By the way, what kind of violin do you use in your concerts?
At the moment, I have a Storione 7/8 size, made in 1789, and the university lends it to me.
Made in 1789.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, please.
Yes. Corey, I just wish to thank you for the concert on Saturday night.
Oh, thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did very much.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, please, from Courtney.
Hello, Corey. This is Laura. I met you at Expo. We were standing in lineups to the Ramses and to the Canada Place.
Uh-huh. Oh, right. Yeah, now I remember.
There we are. There's somebody else. Well, pleased to meet you again.
Yes. Good luck.
Thanks.
Right. Go ahead, please. Hello, what are you?
Hello, what's your IQ?
My
What?
IQ?
My IQ or his IQ?
Or our combined
IQ.
Our combined IQ?
Our combined IQs are really quite terrific, but do you want to talk about IQs?
Well, I don't know what my IQ is, and I really don't care to know because I have to admit I don't really believe in it.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
How long have you been playing the piano for?
Well,
You're getting a lot of calls from youngsters tonight, haven't you?
well, it's fine with me. Well, I started the piano when I was maybe 4 or 5, played for a year, stopped, waited a year, and then started again, and I've been playing since.
Good. But your principal instrument will always be the violin.
Yeah.
I strongly suspect. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Corey, good luck tonight. I'm
Thanks.
curious, do you have any other brothers or sisters that are musically inclined?
I have a sister who's 17, and she's also a wonderful pianist, and she's at Indiana University as well.
Katya.
Katja.
Okay, best of luck tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, please.
Yes. I was wondering how long it takes you, or how long you practice a day.
Well, people expect me to practice really a lot. I only practice maybe 3 hours, and that's when I'm at home. When I'm traveling, I don't get as much in.
Oh, yeah. Well, good luck at your concert tonight.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Go ahead, please.
Hi, I'd just like to say to Corey that I really appreciate what you're doing, and I've been watching you for the past 5 years, and I really think that you've done excellent. I really hope that you do well, and I wish you good luck in the future.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Corey. Bravo. My God, I'm sorry that I can't get to the concert tonight, but I'll catch you the next time around. You just gave me goosebumps. It was just wonderful. I have one question for you. When you were a young fellow and your folks introduced you to the music, did they drive you to the practicing, or was it something you just wanted to do anyway?
I think when I first started, it was novel enough that I did it by myself. And by the time the novelty could have worn off, I realized I was being successful, and then I had a goal.
Well, much luck for the rest of your life. You're a very charming young man, and it's a pleasure to listen to you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Hi, this is Chris Rayner.
Oh, hi.
How are you doing?
Fine. I haven't seen you for a while.
No, I'd just like to wish you good luck for tonight.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Okay.
Did you go to school together?
Uh-huh.
I suspected that. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes.
When you moved, did your whole family move because you wanted to go to the this university in Indiana?
Yeah, that was the primary reason, and what helped quite a bit was that my sister didn't have a piano teacher really here anymore, and my dad was unemployed.
Oh.
For a while. He's gotten a really great job in the meantime, but we really didn't have any ties to Vancouver anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But you're still Canadian.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Corey.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Fine, how are you?
I was wondering if you know someone named Mike Hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he's a real fucking asshole.
Excuse me.
It's all right. There's always one in a carload lot, isn't there? But I killed it, so it didn't go out over the air at all.
Mm-hmm.
That absolutely infuriates me beyond measure. Do accept my apologies, will you? Go ahead, please.
Hello, Corey.
Yes.
Hello?
It's Mr. Dowling from West Van Secondary. Remember me?
Oh, yes.
Your vice principal?
Mm-hmm.
He's a fantastic pupil, and I'm sorry I never caught him on cleanup duty, but maybe I'll catch him next time he comes to the school.
Okay, well, I hope maybe I'll come up tomorrow.
Yeah, we'd like to see you.
Thank you very much. Last call. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to give my compliments to Corey and also to his sister Katya. I had the delight of hearing both of them in about 1976 when they both had just kind of gotten going. And it's been delightful to see where they've gone. And I certainly hope you keep up your mathematics as well.
I intend to.
I think that'll probably be a great combination. So best of luck, and to your sister as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. My thanks to you too, Corey, who is playing tonight Bruch's Violin Concerto No. 1 in G minor, Opus 26, at the Orpheum Theatre at 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
Continued success, and thank you
thanks
for
a lot.
coming here tonight.
I enjoyed
Next,
myself.
Monroe and the Hudson Report after the break. Jack Monroe, Regional Director of the International Woodworkers of America, and it's no exaggeration to say that all of British Columbia has been waiting on tenterhooks for the Hudson Report, the three-man report, Hudson, Peter Pierce, and Mary Saunders, the labour lawyer, in the hopes that it would bring about potential back to work, which it may still do in the lumber industry. Mr. Monroe is just back from Victoria. You've had the report. You've gone through it with your committee. What is your considered decision on the conclusions and recommendations of Stu Hudson and company?
Jack, we considered it carefully and slowly, and we haven't had it that long, but it isn't that difficult to consider. And I want to say to Stu and the commission people that they emphasized 4 or 5 times in the report that they were really pushed for time. And so I'm going to say that maybe the lack of time was a major problem. But quite honestly, Jack, the report is a major disaster. It takes away things from us that were not in dispute. It takes away things that we had before we got into negotiations. And it It really is. It is a major dispute.
Have you had your full committee in town today?
Our full committee was in town, Jack. We went through the report. The vote on the motion to reject the report was unanimous by the committee.
How many members of the committee?
16.
16 from around the province.
Right. We're going to conduct a ballot, a secret ballot by the membership.
Mail ballot?
No, we go, and the way we always conduct ballots, we go to the various places. There may be some mass meetings in places if it's the quickest way to do it. We would hope the balloting can start possibly Wednesday, maybe not until Thursday. And
all members will vote, those working and those on strike?
Just the people on strike, Jack.
Oh, it's just the people on strike who vote in this
Right.
one, as to whether or not they'll go back to work?
Right.
So that'll be about 20,000, will it?
Yes.
All right, now let's go through the recommendations in the contract. First of all, there's a recommendation of a general wage increase of 40 cents per hour on the second year of a new term.
That's an employer proposal, Jack, and that really wasn't in contention. That's what they negotiated with Pulp, and if we have to go to a second year, I guess, that matters here and there, really.
The next one, pension improvements. I want to get to this stuff first. Pension improvement. The pension would be dropped to 60 from 65.
Right, a full pension at age 60 from 65. That was there before we went on strike.
You had negotiated that, but not finalized it before you went on strike.
Not finalized it.
Right?
Right, that's right. From $20 per month per year of service to $25 is new, and that's the same as the Pulp negotiated. So that would be available without going on strike.
40 cents and 25 instead of 20 per year of service for your...
It's 25, and it costs 25 cents.
Okay. Now...
Just a minute. The industry had offered on the table when we were arguing that people wouldn't break their service between age 55 and 60, that they would receive a pension that would not be undiscounted at age 60, and if plants were closed or if people were laid off or whatever, then they would get the undiscounted pension down to age 55. That is gone. The early retirement at age 55 that we had on the table when we were talking about going to a commission, so the industry says that was part of a package that didn't forthcome, but nevertheless the industry had it on the table. That is missing from this report. A key part of the pension demand is not here.
You're saying that you had already negotiated the pension down to 55 with an 18% discount?
It was on the table if we would have agreed with the industry to a Royal Commission. We didn't agree to the Royal Commission, so they took it back. But you don't take things back in negotiations. It was there, it was on the table, it was a major selling point if they were interested in this package being accepted.
All right,
So it's gone.
This proposition, therefore, with a 40 cents per hour in the second year, pensions down only to 60, would be a 2-year contract with additional changes on the organization of work.
Major disaster, Jack, that pension thing. We had more than that. We had all of this other stuff. They didn't give it back to us.
All right, now.
Next page.
Next page. But first of all, let me say, if you were to agree to this, the employees would all get a what? A bonus?
Well, I don't know where this come from, Jack. The IWA has never negotiated in a set of negotiations like this a signing bonus, but the commission, for some reason or another, put in a $200 signing bonus, and they say that that's supposed to heal all the wounds that have been created in 4.5 months on strike. $200 signing bonus, Jack, is about a 1 3/4 days pay for the entry-level job for base rate. That's less than 2 days' pay. It's considerably less than a day's pay for a lot of people. Neither side have ever talked about it. I don't know where the heck it came from.
All right, now
you jumped over the organization of work, though, Jack, and that's very important. Employees should not be allowed to contract out logging work beyond past and current practices. So they say that whatever was going on in logging can continue to go on. That's why we got a strike. They were contracting out our damn jobs. For that, we pay a price. The workers in logging according to this report, should work 7 days a week, as long as the shifts do not exceed 10 hours a day, and the hours should be averaged so that they don't work more than 40 hours in a week. At straight time. At straight time.
Just a minute. It says here, employers should not be allowed to contract out logging work beyond past and current practices except in special circumstances.
Right. Except in special circumstances.
In other words, no change in contracting out. Is that correct?
From past and current practices, right, which led us to a strike in logging.
Okay. Now, it
The
said...
next paragraph.
Then we come to logging flexibility at straight time, 7 days a week, as long as it doesn't exceed 10 hours a day.
Yeah. Now, we're negotiating in November of 1986, 10-hour shifts, 7 days a week at straight time.
But not, you're pushing it a little bit. You're negotiating the industry to operate logging 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, but no man would have to work more than 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. Am I correct?
It depends. The industry has said that they would review various shifts with us.
Now, what about the work in the mills?
We said during negotiations, Jack, and with the commission that, look, the problem is there's a problem in the balancing of production. Dryer in plywood plants, dryer overtime is a thing to keep the dryers and the making of plywood in balance. In sawmills, the planer mill gets out of whack with the planer mill. So we work now at rate and 1/2 if that has to be done. This paragraph says employers should be permitted to schedule straight-time production work in mills on Saturday to correct imbalances in production. So on Wednesday, the employer says, look, you guys are going to have to work on Saturday, and it's going to be at straight time because the balancing is out. They're scheduling 6-day production, and as long as they use the word balance, they do it at straight time. It is a disaster.
There are two things here. The first is the maintenance work. They wipe out time and a half for Saturdays, and they say 12 hours shifts not exceeding 40 for maintenance work.
Employers should be able to schedule maintenance work flexibility provided that shifts do not exceed 12 hours. The generous people, 12 hours per day, and the work week does not exceed 40 hours on the average. The Sunday premium would continue.
All right, now...
So we have maintenance people working Sunday for 12 hours at time and a half. We have loggers working Sunday for 10 hours at straight time.
Now, what about production in sawmills?
Do you understand that point, Jack?
Yes, I understand that.
Loggers working at straight time, maintenance people working a time and a half on Sundays.
Now, what about the production work in the mills?
There is no change. Just this balancing to work on
Employers should be
Saturdays.
permitted to schedule straight-time production work in mills on Saturdays.
Right, that's the
to
balancing.
correct the imbalances.
Right. Saturday at straight time.
Well, it doesn't seem that. I mean, you'd give up time and a half on Saturdays.
Jack, this industry doesn't have to work straight time on Saturday. They're not working at capacity now. This industry is not working at capacity now. The commission, in using its economic arguments, completely and totally refused or didn't recognize or maybe didn't read the economic arguments as far as productivity is concerned that we submitted to the United States people on this countervail duty, and the United States people were so concerned about it. They came to British Columbia. They said it can't be true. They came here and found out it is true. The commission ignores it. The commission relies on some economics that was presented to Mr. Justice Hutchin. Disaster.
Well, I'm going to go back and go over this again for the benefit of all the IWA people and the people in the industry in as simple a form as I can to get what the story will be that will go out to the guys voting on both sides of the counter.
Jack, and also I should say, you know, the people at Mackenzie, it's PPWC, they're out on strike. They've been out just after we went out. The arguments are exactly the same. And so we're, I guess, talking about that situation also.
After the break. I only got this report about 5 minutes to 5, and I'm trying to go through it and talk to Jack Monroe of the IWA and clarify it accurately. Right. Now, from a quick reading of this, there seemed to be the Commission had some difficulty in getting the report done on time. Do you know if the parties asked for extra time?
Yes, we did. Jack. Yes, no question about.
Did you ask the...
We asked for an extension of time. Both parties asked for an extension of time. Met with the Premier, not myself, but our spokesman, our people that were assisting the Commission, met with the Premier on Friday at noon at adjournment of the First Minister's Conference, about 12:15 or something, and they were denied sufficient time. Now the Commission, several places they say, but the task was arduous, and we found that the 7 days of our mandate were not sufficient to fully explore the opportunities for a mutually acceptable settlement. On the very first page, they say that. But equally difficult for us was the problem of getting to the root of the problem in the time available to us.
All right, now let me go back to this again. First of all, let's deal with contracting out. What is your interpretation of any changes in contracting out, which was the big issue with FIR and you?
Jack, we had the Billings-Moore letter that every set of negotiations for the past few sets, the industry has demanded we cancel, and we argue with them and fight with them on the coast about keeping the Billings-Moore letter. This does not give us back the Billings-Moore letter. Now I'm sure the industry will say, well, we'll give you back. That's only the coast. That's only the coast. On contracting, as far as logging is concerned, this commission says 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, straight time work, and don't exceed 40 hours in a week.
Now
as far as manufacturing is concerned, Jack, they give them the flexibility that they want, and there is absolutely no protection whatsoever against losing our jobs to contractors and subcontractors. No protection in the interior in any place.
But just a minute. First of all, this recommendation says a 2-year contract with a 40-cent wage increase, a $200 signing bonus, pensions down to 60 without any sacrifice. These are the positive things it says, correct?
They're positive, and what's there in pensions is positive, but we had more there. The Commission took away from us.
Well, you thought you might have negotiated it down to 55, but I'm just giving...
The employers offered, Jack.
But I'm just giving the positive things before I come to the other things. A 2-year contract, general wage increase of 40 cents in the second year, full pension at 60, which would help some of the old boys laid off in Westminster and elsewhere,
Less
right?
than what the industry offered to us.
Right, and a $200 signing bonus. Now, the FIR were demanding 6 days at straight time production. Is that recommended in this thing? No.
Yes, Saturday is straight time production, but they have to say balancing.
Employers should be permitted to schedule straight time production work in mills on Saturdays to correct imbalances in production.
Right. So you say, look, we got to work Saturday at straight time because production's out of balance.
So you say they've given them 6 days at straight time. Now, they asked for 7 days.
And we got no protection for contracting for that.
No protection in the mills at all for contract?
None. Lost what we had.
On maintenance, the Commission has recommended 12 hours a day, straight time, not more than 40 hours a week, but still time and a half for Sundays.
Time and a half for Sundays.
So that means you'd be giving up your time and a half presently paid for Saturdays.
Right.
Well, that's surely...
And the double time that we get now for working Sundays, if 40 hours are worked in the preceding work. So once again, Jack, and I understand, look, there's a lot here, but we got a logger going to work, driving past the sawmill. He's going to work on Sunday for 10 hours at straight time, while a millwright or a maintenance person in the mill that he drives by is working on Sunday at time and a half.
Now, let's get back to the logging. It says employers should not be allowed to contract out logging work beyond past and current practices except in special circumstances. Is that any help to you at all?
No, that's why we're on strike. They were contracting out our jobs, too many of our jobs. Past practices is they contract out damn near anything they want.
You're talking about logging on the coast particularly?
Logging on the, well, the interior, we've lost it.
You lost it, because all the logging just about is done on contract in the interior.
We've lost 500 loggers in the last 3 or 4 years.
All right, employers should be allowed to schedule logging flexibly. Straight time, 7 days a week and 10 hours per day, not more than 40 hours on average.
Jack,
is that acceptable?
Jack, it's a disaster. It's less than... If we would never have had a set of negotiations in 1986, we'd be better off. The industry this morning, in this morning's paper, Keith Bennett said in the province this morning, the industry was asking for nothing and he wished the whole dispute would go away. The industry tonight is a hell of a lot better off now than they were when that paper came out this morning.
It may well.
We're a lot worse off.
Your members might. I mean, you've been on strike for 18 weeks. You've borrowed how many millions of dollars?
Quite a few.
How many millions of dollars?
Quite a few.
And you got to pay that money back.
Yes.
And you got to pass a levy to pay that money back.
We're validating it.
Despite what the paper said, you didn't get donations, you got loans.
Well, some loans and some donations, Jack.
But the big ones
but
were
the big
loans.
Ones, the big ones are loans, mostly interest-free. Right. We borrowed about $8 million this point in time.
How long can your guys out since the end of July stick this?
Jack, believe me, these are tough decisions. This is not easy. This is really tough. And the people that were on strike are primarily multinationals controlled from someplace else, using your trees and my trees and the citizens of BC trees in an industry that is the most efficient solid wood producing people in the world. We are.
Maybe
we are 2.5 times as good as most of our competitors, and we're saying we're entitled to a better shake on pensions and some job security. And these guys are saying like hell, and they're putting us through a strike like this. We can't back down from it, Jack.
Maybe you'd have been better, it's not the time to second guess at the moment though, if you'd closed down the entire industry and not let some people work on your other wording.
Maybe we would have.
If you'd closed the whole place down, the weak companies, as at the moment you've got the weak ones working and the big boys with money on the rising pulp prices as tough as nails.
4 increases this year in pulp, harder now than they were when the strike started. And if we would have kept some of these BC companies, Jack, if we would have said, you know, we're going to keep you down too, that would have been another 10,000 on people hurting like hell, and there might have been enough pressure at them sniping at the big boys to settle this thing, but it's a judgment call, you know.
Is there not a chance that even with this offer, the way I'm summarizing, and I'm not trying to cause trouble, that your people might vote for it? Is it got to be an overall vote of all the membership, or is it local by local?
Well, we run the strike on an overall vote, Jack. We wouldn't have part of it working and part of it not working. We're going to publicize this document in its entirety, not the letter to the minister, that's irrelevant, but the document in its entirety. We're going to give that to the membership. We're going to let them read it, and we're going to have a secret ballot.
When will that be?
We're starting hopefully Wednesday. It'll be completed in about a week from Wednesday or a week from Thursday.
What is the recommendation of the union executive?
The recommendation is unanimously to reject it. Jack, we are worse off than if we would have never had a set of negotiations. And I don't know what the industry is doing with this today, but I would think there would be a hell of a lot of happy people in the industry boardrooms today. They got stuff, especially the interior, they never asked for.
Your calls to Jack Monroe and Webster after the break. So your position is that there is no job security for the guys in the mills, nothing that you didn't have before?
It's worse, Jack. They took away what security we had. We have less than what we had.
Go ahead from Alberni, please. Hello.
I just would like to give a little information of what's been happening. I'm a logger from Port Alberni.
Right.
And I work as long and often as anyone does. I've got 20 years at the camp I live in, so I'm not getting laid off because of seniority. And in 1985, we got laid off in June the 20th of...
I just as soon you told me what you think of the proposition as much as you understand it. I don't want to go into history.
No, but I mean, the loggers are getting 8 months a year.
Right.
And we were laid off for 4 months because of too much wood.
Yep.
Now, I think that whoever the commission is, they must be a bunch of morons because if you work 7 days a week, we're only going to get 5 months a year.
Right.
And I don't know how they figure this. We're laid off every year because of too much wood in the water.
The guy's point is, Jack, if we're working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and he works 5 or 6 months a year now, If we make him work 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, he's going to get 3 or 4 months
But
work
it's more efficient for the operators to run on 4 10-hour shifts with the loggers, is it
Well,
not?
if they're away, and that can be done, Jack, that's not a problem. We agree where it makes sense to do it. But this guy living in Port Alberni, going to work every day and coming home, it'll cut your work year down to what, 4 months a year or something?
No, well, I figure that it's 8 months. We work 8 months now on a good year, and if they get a 7-day work schedule, we'll be lucky we get between 5 and 6 months, and they'll just work the good days.
So
good
what do you
weeks,
think?
And when it's the first hint of snow or anything, they'll shut us down.
Fair enough. What do you think? Vote against it or vote for it?
Oh, I wouldn't take that thing if somebody paid me to vote for it.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Jack Monroe.
Yes.
Yes, I was laid off out of the industry in '82. Now I'm going for retirement next June, 60 years of age. Now, am I stuck with that $15 per month for your for every year's on a monthly basis, or would I qualify for the new rate, 25?
25, but you should, will you phone our office tomorrow and talk to our pension person, Joan Diath? Really, and she'll give you the correct answer.
We've made ourselves as clear as we can on the circumstances. Now I want some reaction to the proposition from either side of the fence. Monroe says there's nothing in to give them any job security, nothing in to help on the contracting out problem. You were prepared to go the flexibility route at the moment, and you're not interested in the 40 cents an hour in the second year of the term.
Yeah, not really.
Go ahead, please.
Yes. Yes, I'd just like to ask Mr. Monroe, how long does he think this strike is going to be on for? And, how long does he think, because it's been on for quite a while, and how long is it going to take to get it resolved?
I don't know, and if the industry really cared for their employees, there would be no strike this year, and I understand people are hurting terribly, and we read it in the paper where they send a newspaper out scurrying around the province to find a family that's really hurting. Jack, they could go out and find our members that haven't worked in a year and a half. They're really hurting too, and they haven't worked because their job has been contracted out. And the strike is terrible. I don't know. I know that we can't walk away from the strike. It would be insanity. It would be insanity to recommend acceptance of this. It's an abdication of responsibility, Jack, if we recommended acceptance of this document.
And you'd have been just as well to go back on the Van der Zalm proposition of a couple of months ago with the commission to look into it and until June '87.
Yep.
You want to know that then, I don't suppose. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, hello, gentlemen. Just a comment. It seems that Peter Pierce, or his influence, has struck again. A few years back, he did a commission on the fishery trying to find a cure for
Oh, no, let's go into history.
His idea of a cure would have killed us a whole lot faster than
Okay, I'm not going into the fishing industry.
On the economics, I'm disappointed. They ignored everything we said on economics. And the baby boom, the industry said to Hutchin, they don't even know when the baby boom was. It was 53 to 64. There's 4 million people born in the United States then. That means they're just entering their 30s now. And the market, Jack, the potential market is fantastic ahead of us. The world needs our softwood, and we are so efficient at producing it. And we should not have to go on strike to get job security.
Well, the world is changing, Jack, and everybody says the way to go is contracting out and everything. That's what they're doing to the QP people, and everybody else is contracting out.
If you want to destroy the effectiveness of the trade union movement, Jack, that's right. Then contract out all the jobs, and then pretty soon we'll all be working for the lowest bidder. And you and I will not be, or anybody else in this province, will not be living the life and enjoying some of the finer things in life.
And now we're facing the new 15% tax, or maybe 20% tax on lumber.
Jack, I'm happy that the federal government and the ministers finally came to the IWA position, and enough people haven't said that. Pat Carney, the federal minister, quite openly says that she learned from the IWA, and it isn't me, it's our researchers, that was our position, and it makes sense. The 15% controlled in Canada, the money staying in BC, the money placed where it should be placed. You know, we're giving interior operators the trees of this province for $2 and something a thousand. They won't even hiccup over $15 a thousand, in spite of what Zimmerman and his temper tantrum that that he displayed the
Well,
other day. It's
obviously,
nonsense.
he doesn't want the cost of stumpage to go up to
Well,
him, does he?
no, he wants to put more money in his back pocket and haul it to Toronto for Brascan. What the hell? That's the name of the game.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
I have many friends in the forest industry, and you say the offer is a disaster.
Yes.
I've been back in the woods and seen the waste and the mess left behind after loggers. My
No,
question
not
to
after
you is,
loggers. Not after loggers. After the majors.
well, but my question, sir, is if we were to go to work 7 days a week, how long would the woods of British Columbia last for those men?
And a hell of a lot less long as they last now.
Well,
Quotas,
isn't that true? And they have a lot of wood in the water right now. They don't have to go back to work. I've seen trucks coming down from Pemberton. No problem. Lots of wood. They
Well,
can all stay on the strike as far as a lot of people are concerned.
well, there's not a lot of wood around. And your first comment, I think I interpreted it right. You were kind of blaming the loggers for what you say is waste in the bush.
That's right. The mess that's left. I
Loggers-
can't believe how much log. I could go in there and cut firewood for years and never.
Well, you could cut a hell of a lot more than firewood, and it's the majors that are creaming our forest. You should be damn upset with the majors, not with the workers.
Next call. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Yes.
I just came from Port Alberni, and what I've heard is that the contracting out is being done by the contractors or IWA
A lot of them are.
members.
A lot of them are, certainly. That's not the issue.
Well, then what's the problem? It's just going to be a change of job. I mean, it's not going to be a loss of a job. It's just a change.
You work, it doesn't make you feel any better if you work 25 or 30 years in this industry and you end up staying at home watching a logging truck go by your window with a contractor who is also a contractor's employee, who may also be an IWA member someplace down the road. You destroy everything that you build up by having long service. The stump-to-dumpers are not our problem. We quite like the stump-to-dumpers. I want everybody to understand that. We're not mad at the stump-to-dumpers.
Anyway, what Hodgson has recommended is 2 years, a 2-year contract until after the expiry of this one. Pensions down to 60, 40-cent increase, $200 signing bonuses. Really no change in contracting out.
Worse. No protection.
Logging flexibility, 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, maximum 40 hours.
Disaster. Major disaster.
Straight time on Saturdays on production to correct imbalances of production. Now,
major disaster, Jack.
Well, if you don't settle this, is it not a fact that Van der Zalm must legislate you back to work?
Jack, Van der Zalm should go and have a meeting with the chief executive officers, the way he did before, and tell them who's running the province. The chief executive officers are not running the province. Why are the people that work for Weyerhaeuser being put through this and their families because of a decision in Tacoma, Washington, or Crown Forest, a decision in New Zealand or someplace?
We shall follow this story with considerable interest and probably have Keith Bennett on tomorrow, and I'll be back after the break. Well, that's certainly bad news, the IWA recommending against the settlement of the Hodgson report. Tomorrow night, if we can arrange it, I'll have Keith Bennett of FIR here to go through the whole thing once again, because this is a vital strike, a vital dispute which must be settled tomorrow, 5 p.m. precisely.